Hello, welcome to the Leadership Think Tank with women in the cannabis industry. When you Google leadership, there's a lot of information about different leadership styles, leadership as it applies to different job positions, leadership strategies, and hundreds of pages of leadership courses and workshops. Applying different leadership styles and strategies in your career, business, or nonprofit is like using child psychology books to raise a child. It works much better in theory. The monthly leadership think tanks addresses leadership from the perspective and experiences of women in the cannabis space. The Women's Cannabis Chamber of Commerce had brought together women operating in different segments of the cannabis industry and in different states. I'm going to ask each participant to introduce themselves and which state they are in. Their business and contact information can be found in the event post and on the Women's Cannabis Chamber of Commerce website and YouTube channel. So let's get this conversation started. And I'm going for left to right on my stage. So, Liz, let's start with you and just go across the screen.
I'm
And
Liz. Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I'm Liz, and I'm from New Jersey.
My name is Katie, and I'm based in Massachusetts.
I'm Diana, and I'm based in Massachusetts.
And I'm Nancy. I'm also in Massachusetts.
Wow.
I'm Alex. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada.
I'm Angela. I'm in Southern Illinois.
I am Willa. I live in New York, but I'm coming to you from Cape Coral, Florida.
Ooh. Beatrice, you're on mute.
And I'm Beatrice, and I'm in Denver, Colorado.
Very good. So let's start out with what is leadership a mindset or is it a skill set? Let's start with you, Alex.
Oh, perfect. For me, leadership it's a mindset because you have to think about certain things. You have to be able to relate to people, kind of do things. It just comes like with your frame of mind. I mean, skills can be taught. There are some leadership qualities that can be taught, like soft skills. Those can be taught. But the overall aspect of a leader or somebody you want to follow, I say that's more of a mindset.
Okay, Katie, do you agree?
You know, it's really funny because this question was a bit hard to prepare for because I think I came in thinking it's a skill set. You have to have the skills and the qualities of a leader in order to be a leader. But then the more I thought about it, the more I think that it actually is the mindset. Whether or not, though, that is someone coming in knowing front of mind that they're a leader, I think for me, it's a little bit more subconscious in just how I am and not necessarily something that I come in saying like, I'm a leader and today I'm going to, lead my team. It's a little bit more subliminal. So I think it is more of a mindset, but I think that can shift depending on the person and what they're actually doing. So I do agree, Alex. I think that it's obviously a combination of both to some level, but you have to want to be a leader, which starts with your mindset. So I do agree with that.
Exactly. I was teeter-tottering with it for a while, up until the last
same.
Before Addison asked me the question, I was sitting there thinking about it because it's like it's your frame of mind. Even I'm not like somebody that steps in the room like I'm the leader,
right?
Or, like I'm your coach, like
right.
It just happens. You just kind of like step into it and things naturally progress. Like I didn't know I was a leader half my life. I just followed me. Things just happen. So it's like a mindset, the way you think, the way you handle situations,
Yeah, totally.
Okay, I'm going to ask the Tar Tube team, Deanna and Nancy, do you agree with them?
Well, we think it's both. Skill set and
mindset.
I
think you have to bring something to the table. Like you can be determined about something, but unless you have certain skills, how successful are you going to be? I guess that's so. I can't separate the two.
And
Yeah,
boy, I
I,
thought that this was going to be the easiest question to answer. So,
Nope.
Angela, based on your experiences in life, do you think it is that leadership is a mindset or a skill set?
oh, both.
I always thought that real leadership was about collaboration, um, which is a skill set, right? You can learn how to communicate and work together, but there's also a mindset component to it where you also have to set the correct expectations, right? Everybody has to understand the goal in order to be on the same page and work together to get to the goal. So I think the leader is the person that ends up illustrating or demonstrating that for everyone else. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is something that you can learn, but it starts with having the right mindset that
Mhm.
we're going to be a team. We're going to work on this issue and this is how we're going to do it. So, you can't just be the authority saying we're at A, we need to be at Z, figure it out. You also have to be the person that says, here's B through Y, and this is how we're gonna, this is who's gonna do it and how we're gonna do it. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, I
So,
just think
we'll,
women are naturally better at that.
Mhm.
oh, I agree with that. We'll have to get
Yep.
into that. Yeah. So, Willa, coming from a healthcare environment, do you think that leadership is a mindset or a skill set?
I agree with everybody, but I do think initially it definitely starts with the mind. The thought has to come. And once the thought comes, I was writing down some notes, listening to everybody. Yes, because we think with our brain. And then as we start to think, the skill of thinking and what we do in terms of leadership with whomever we're leading, that is how it comes. So I do think it's a skill set, but the skill set comes from the thought, I'm going to do this. And you're thinking, once you get to the point, if you need a little help, then you start to bring on people to lead them to where you want, but you're developing the skill set that gets developed as you progress.
Okay, so I'm going to go to Beatrice and then I'm going to jump up to Liz. So I got my little pointy thing here too. So, Beatrice, what's your thoughts on this?
I also think it's both of them. But first, like Mila said, it's the mindset first. Because if we don't have a strong mindset, we won't be able to use all the skills that we are going to need in order to lead. And yeah, maybe you don't have the skills at the beginning, but everything, it's a learning phase. So I think those skills would just fall into place that you didn't even think you were going to be using. So yeah, you just have to be really strong on the mindset.
So, Liz, based upon your experience and the insights from these other women,
I was saying, I totally agree with you, Liz, whether as a woman, all the roles that we play, whether we are that single parent or even as the married parent, because you hear married women still running the household, whether they suffer some consequences of life or their life journey puts them in a position where they may not be the one who's cooking, or let's say they suffer a mental crisis. But because of that person being that glue, we see how everything still kind of centers around that person. Now, the other support systems may have to come into play, and they're strong, but it's centered because that woman uh, is in what you may call, say, a negative capacity at that time, or capacity is being challenged. But if 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 and when we see our capacities not being challenged, we definitely see what women have accomplished, will accomplish, are able to accomplish, how we set the tone, whether it's fashion, whether it's hair, I mean, that's kind of fashion, or as a caregiver, as a nurse, a professional nurse. Number one, it's a lot of women, even though we know the roles are changing, and I'm an advocate. We definitely need the strong bodies of men. But because it's a woman dominated profession, we see that they still, for the umpteenth time, 20 plus years, have been voted as one of the most trusted professions. And nurses are one of the most educated professions. Because if you look at nurses, they have these long titles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I think we are the it, whatever you want to call us, the itch, you can put the
The
B in front of it,
itchy.
or the witch. I mean, say that, or the W in front of it, but we are the it.
So I'll get Alex back on here. Okay,
Okay,
so
so if we're
okay now.
okay now,
So
so if we're natural,
born leaders, why are we not making a difference? If we're natural born leaders, why do we don't even have a share in the cannabis industry? Why, why? Where do you think we're messing up? Because if we are natural born leaders and we're not utilizing this to move forward, and we're in a industry where it would be or would it be, is it advantageous to be a leader and have leader qualities in the cannabis industry? But, well, yeah, let me go with that question. Is there any advantages to having leadership skills
Oh my
and
God.
mindset in the cannabis industry?
Absolutely, 100%. When I came into this industry, coming back from the corporate side, the corporate side is a lot more cutthroat. Cannabis is a much, much more inclusive industry and inclusive community. And over the past, I would say 4 or 5 months, I've been seeing a lot about canna moms and what they're going through. And I remember when I was a canna mom, I'm a canna mimi now, so I've gotten promoted. But I see women coming together and just forming relationships, and we're not stopping. We're growing. Is it hard? Oh God, is it hard? But we're tough, and I'm seeing a lot of strong women that are just such role models, and I see everybody helping each other, and this is something you don't see anywhere else. So I really predict that you're really going to see an explosion of women in the cannabis industry.
So, Alex, my question was, in the cannabis industry, does a woman need leadership skills?
That's a great question. Yes, you need the soft skills that come along with leading a team, but you need the mindset that goes with it as well. Like it's like any other industry in the cannabis industry, except for it's not as regulated yet. So there's kind of a lot of things you have to think of on the fly, kind of dealing with personalities. So you have to have certain skill sets, of course, but yeah.
Uh, okay, so you do work within the cannabis industry,
Yeah.
in plant touching. So, do you see leaderships as an advantage in what you do, or is it more of an advantage just to shut up and look the other way?
No, it's hard. It's hard to shut up and look the other way. So I work in the retail aspect of the cannabis industry. I was a bud tender, and I do inventory management. And you can't just shut up and turn your head to a blind eye to certain things when it happens. Like, you have to speak up and say something, because you're affecting people, like the patients that we deal with, or the license that we're working under. So being quiet could definitely hinder a lot of things. It can cost a lot of money at the end. So you have to say things. Are you the type of person to stand up and say something? That just depends on the person, But no, you can't turn the blind eye. You have to step up. You have to do those things.
Uh, Katie, it feels like you've got some comments on this.
I actually do. So you're reading my mind here. So
I saw
think
the look.
going back a little bit to what you were saying about women in the cannabis industry specifically, I think that we have a very unique opportunity as women right now, where, at least from what I'm seeing now, obviously I'm not plant touching. I know that this industry is very male dominated, but I also see that there are a lot of cracks showing in the industry now. And that is, interestingly enough, under the leadership of men. I don't know that there's a correlation to that, but I do think that in the next, similar to what Liz was saying, we will be coming up more and have an opportunity to build women leaders more in this industry than maybe what was initially established. Because I think that they might be saying, all right, we might need another perspective here at this point, how things are going. And that's not every industry, every state, every, community, but I know that that is at least what I've been dealing with and kind of hearing, is how much struggle there is. And I do think that women leadership coming into this space is really going to help to challenge those norms of what has been going on and potentially fix a lot of the problems that we're seeing in the industry. So I think that there's a lot of,
I see that a lot here. Just so I've been in the physical field, in the cannabis field, like for the past year and a half, right? And I've seen a lot of females like stepping into those leadership roles, either a lead on the floor or a general manager at a store, because of we pay attention to details. You know what I mean? The way we can relate to people, not just the employees, but the guests that come in or the patients that come in. We have a sense of empathy and sympathy. It is not just about the money. So we don't make decisions based on the dollar at the bottom line. It's kind of a big picture, holistic type of situation type of thing that happens. And I'm loving it. I like that. I see that every woman that I've touched in the industry from the past year and a half is trying to find a way to bring the next person up.
Right.
Not like a competition, like, oh, you make edibles, oh, I can't work with you, or oh, you work at that dispensary, oh, I can't work with you. It's like, no, okay, you work over there. How can we get your brand over here? How can we collaborate? It's a lot of collaborative efforts so we can grow together, big picture type thing.
It's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. This industry, we work together. We're a team. We're the biggest band in the world.
Yeah.
I think some of that comes just from the history of cannabis. As a Black woman, my experience seeing based on the regulations in terms of cannabis. Let's say if it was a married couple, if they were in the cannabis industry 40 years ago, let's say 40 years ago, because of the regulations, if they were a couple or a coupled-owned business, the man did not want the woman to suffer the consequences behind regulations. So they took that leadership role on the outside, like in the the front line, so to speak. And the woman, based on my experience, the woman in that business still was the leader, because even with the man, the unspoken word of, if I go to jail, you can hold down the family, you continue to run the business, and so on. So you've seen that. It's like an unspoken mantra in terms of who really is the leader.
Oh, yes. Okay. I also think that that is true in traditional businesses, just not in cannabis and illegal cannabis, where the woman actually runs the business and the man's out there doing whatever it is he does.
Getting
Um, and but um, because and I say that, because my experience is back in the day, that was it. The woman ran the illegal cannabis business, and the man definitely was the one that was out front because, for one thing, he had that he was more intimidating and less likely to get robbed,
Mhm.
or so I've heard. This is just hearsay.
Or taken seriously.
So this is what people.
Yeah.
This is what people tell me. So. I'm just laughing because I on LinkedIn, I got a comment from a young man who was a grower who claimed to, and the comment was irrelevant to what the post was, which I mentioned to him, like, and he was going on about being back in the illegal days, and we don't know what we're talking about, and I'm like, seriously, I mean, if you, my generation, we were there when it happened. And also, we all on this call, we were there when the legalization movement started. We were there and we are here. And I wanted to ask Deanna and Nancy, you in getting your business launched, and I think Liz might have mentioned that same experience. You were advised and supported by women in their 20s and 30s, and I mean also in the 40s up, but particularly ones in the 20s and 30s. Did you see leadership qualities in them? And are they being leaders?
Yes.
20 and 30-year-olds. Yes, I would say yes. I think there's a generational thing, and I don't want to, I don't want to put a divide, but there is a generational thing where leadership is more subtle. We see young men in the leadership roles in cannabis. I'm going to change this a little bit, but they can't look us in the eye. They
Oh,
can't make eye
interesting.
contact. And young women are, how you doing today? What are you looking for in terms of, are you not sleeping well?
Much more approachable.
Much more approachable, much more openly knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Are you mean
Really?
like the younger men don't look you in the eyes when they talk to you, like the 20 and 30-year-olds?
That's what we're experiencing.
I think
I
that's
know.
the stigma. The
That's the
stigma that is still associated with cannabis. You take a young man, they tend to think, oh yeah, my grandma might have did it back in the day, but now since she's whatever concept they have of aging, it's like what? It's like, hey, because of the stigma, it's like I don't want to talk to her. I ain't trying to sell it to quote to somebody's grandma. I want them getting mad at me. That kind of stigma, not looking at the continuum that I always talk about in terms of cannabis. And it's like, oh, if your grandma was 21, 19 and she liked it, why, if she's 67, 87, what makes you think that she does not like it? But it's that stigma,
Yeah,
which has a
I
lot
think
of arms associated with it.
Now, I've had a total. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
just back to I think it's more they're not looking up from their phones. They're not. You're in a meeting and trying to have a conversation or trying to explain a concept to them about your product, and they're looking at their phones. They're looking behind them as they're talking to you. They're like puppies.
Yeah.
And and the women seem to be, and I hate to be, sexist on my part, but the young women seem to be just clicking.
Yeah.
On board. Just let me hear what you have to say. Let me give you my feedback. Much more conversation.
I
I have a lot to say about this,
I was
actually.
just going to
Go
say,
ahead, Liz.
you unmute right now because
I've had such a positive experience with everybody I've come across, male and female. But I will say, the women, they have their own community. You know, they have their own sisterhood, and they're so welcoming. And I've literally had someone take me by the hand and say, "Come over. I want you to meet so and so." And that's been my experience, hands down, and with the men.
Well, let me not paint a bad. We've had similarly great experiences,
Yes.
but if we have to point out differences in the younger people and sex, that's what I've noticed. It's just attention, trying to get eye contact. Eye contact's important.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
Angela,
very.
jump in on this.
Yeah, boy. I think women have a tremendous advantage in cannabis from an economist's point of view perspective. Women are more of the consumer market than men, and seniors. Women and seniors are the writing on the wall. That's your demographic. And these young white guys don't get it. They do not get it, but the women do. You have to understand the needs of people: compassion, empathy, education, all three of those. It's not
I
about the
think it's the
dollar.
plant.